Welcome to SportX, where we talk all things relating to the ever-evolving business of sport and the people that make things happen in this vibrant industry. I'm Gerard Davids, founder of TalkX TV, where we host SportX as a content channel. I'm once again joined by Wafeekah Begg-Jassiem, legal manager at the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport, or SAGE in short. Also, welcome to our Women's Month series focusing on the role and the contribution made by women in this sector. Let's start off by extending our heartfelt congratulations on your recent appointment as member of the Anti-Doping Tribunal of the International Paralympic Committee, or IPC, and kindly tell us what does this appointment entails. Welcome again, Wafeekah.
Thank you for having me again, Harriet. Hope you are well and all our listeners. So I would be serving on a tribunal, one of three members. When an athlete faces an anti-doping rule violation, I will be called upon to adjudicate that case via a hearing, or if the athlete wants the matter heard in another forum, I will be called upon to do that. So yes, it's a wonderful opportunity.
And how is this whole role going to unfold in more detail, Wafeekah?
Well, the appointment was from the 1st of August, and I have to just sit tight and wait for an athlete to test positive or violate an anti-doping a rule. I'm uncertain at this point in time how many other members were appointed. So, but if it's a pool of 10, I'm sure I'll be called upon within the next 6 months to provide my services.
So it being effective from 1st of August, which means to say if there are any incidents within the upcoming Paralympics, you may be called upon.
They would have a tribunal set there in Europe already, because those are for specific major events. And I'm here in Cape Town. However, I think after the Paralympics, I will get my first opportunity.
Okay, great stuff. So extending the conversation into the anti-doping environment, how can anti-doping campaigns be more effectively tailored to address the specific challenges and experiences of female athletes, and more so from an administrative intervention point of view?
So about 3 years ago, I noticed there was a gap in the anti-doping education with regards to female athletes that suffer from PCOS, that's polycystic ovary syndrome, or and those type of athletes usually struggle to conceive. So already being an athlete in itself is a stressful job. So one of the interventions in trying to conceive is going on medication or doing IVF, etc. And those medications contain banned substances. One of those substances is clomiphene. And not many athletes, female athletes, are aware of this. So they go to their doctors, they trust their doctors, they don't the responsibility is for the athlete themselves to check whatever they put into their systems, be it medication, etc. They need to ensure that it is safe. However, when it comes to the relationship with the doctor, there's this element of trust. So the doctors say, like, no, it's fine. And then meanwhile, it's not fine. And we've had a South African rower in the past actually test positive for clomiphene who was going through this experience. Actually, we've had more than one or two. And it's actually cost one athlete, I think it was a power lifter, her opportunity to qualify for the previous Olympics, where she was banned, I think, for 18 months as a result. And that really because it was internationally prosecution, I wasn't involved, but just knowing about it made me very passionate to ensure that SAIDS itself includes that in their anti-doping education programs, driven to bring about awareness for females. That's something not many anti-doping organizations, I don't know one that actually specifically addresses that. So that's a
So,
need.
so where does the awareness and the education rest the duty to inform at federation level?
Well, federation will say it's SAIDS and SAIDS will say it's the federation, but everybody needs and has to work together. It does extend to the federations because the federations have team doctors. So team doctors, sports managers need to be available whenever an athlete comes to them with, number one, a problem, and then number two, help me, educate me. What can I do better? How do I go about this? So it shouldn't be a blame game, but in our case, it cases and hearings, it becomes exactly that.
Okay. And so if I go to the SAGE website, I look at the documents that's in the resources section, I get overwhelmed with all these foreign terminology and concepts and notions and things like that. Are SAGE in particular in the process of sort of simplifying that for the layperson to get a better grip of what is allowed and what's not allowed, considering the situation you just explained with female athletes?
So there's on our website a awareness campaign which simplifies it. But if you do feel overwhelmed and you want just an introduction, you can actually go play around there. There's the Adele e-learning, which you can do yourself. You can register and do that, or you can even request a one-on-one chat with one of our educators. Or if you want a group to be educated, you can even put in a request that our educators attend a session that you are hosting, and we will then send an educator to that group. And they even do it online. So the opportunities, there's many ways and resources to go about doing this.
So basically, it's an open invitation to individuals, sports bodies, schools, federations to make contact with SAGE and says we need education and awareness, like we're doing with the career awareness expos and the like.
Yes.
Yeah, good. So what role can women play in shaping the future of anti-doping initiatives and ensuring that those kind of initiatives are inclusive and effective to their situation?
Well, I think about how I started out and what assists in shaping your future in anti-doping or even in sports administration itself. Attending seminars, attending webinars, the networking is so crucial and so important. And then just further educating yourself. So if there's an opportunity to enroll into a course, be it at the university or the online courses that are available even in sports, global programs as well. So you really need to go out there, and you need to put yourself out there. No one's going to come and approach you if you're sitting and doing nothing. And for women, it's just a bit harder, but you need to, I think, be brave and put yourself out there. You have to tell people this is your interest and this is what you're willing to do, or this is what you've done. And ask for that mentorship, ask for an internship. I never had an internship program here at SAIDS, but I knew that I wanted to be inclusive, and what better way to do that by going to the CEO and approaching schools and saying, hey, I can offer this. Do you have any students? And that's what I'm currently doing. And I have a female master's sports management student from Kenya at this moment doing an internship with me. Um, yeah, so creating that opportunities and getting other women to also create opportunities is what's
Yeah.
needed.
So yeah, so if we ask the question, what role can women play in shaping the future of anti-doping? Again, you say it's an open invitation for women. If they reach out to Sage, and Sage will then conform to what their needs are, as opposed to women athletes and even administrators and interns and mentees waiting for Sage to come to the fore. So also then, how could we encourage more young women to pursue careers in sport administration, like what you're doing, and what support systems are needed to help them succeed, bearing in mind you've just mentioned about the intern that you're currently mentoring?
So you know, we should be approaching, just making contact, approaching any organization. I know I have in the past approached organizations myself, approached schools myself. And you can actually, we shouldn't always have this attitude of relying on other people to help us when we can actually, as young females, start the movement ourselves. So, like, here's an example: podcasting. Um, take a writing articles for online websites. And I promise you, even those things, write about what you're passionate about, talk about what you're passionate about, and other people will see you and they will recognize you, and they will follow. And then some other ways of, when it comes to like sports administration, like how then can other organizations create opportunities. Um, I think what's lacking in the industry is schools and universities. So schools curriculums and university curriculums don't have, for instance, anti-doping as part of their curriculums, and it's actually important and it is needed. So and I think that is where the interest starts and where the interest lies.
Yeah, so content is queen and not king. If we want
Yes.
to follow the Women's Month theme, content would be considered as queen. Thank you for that advice. So, Wafeekah, what specific strategies can be implemented to challenge gender stereotypes and bias within in the sports world, and how do we promote a more equitable and inclusive environment for all in society at large, but also primarily within the sports ecosystem?
I think, national federations, sporting organizations, they pride themselves on good governance. And if that is your thing and that should be your thing, look at the Employment Equity Act and what it says. Look at your employment equity policies and then at your constitution and statutes. If your statutes or your employment equity policies or anything with regards to even female athletes are not talking to how do we include that role into our strategic plans over the next 5 years or 10 years, occupying seats in boardrooms, occupying administration seats. Um, I think that is key. That's the first step. I think when I worked at SAFA back in 2013-14, FIFA introduced the co-opting of females, and the only way you could do that was by amending your statutes. So that's what we did. And there was a lot of pushback because it was male dominated from uh, from local level, regional, provincial, and national. There was a lot of pushback. No, we can't just have a female there. So it's like, yeah, fair enough. You should have a qualified female, but where do I find them? Why is it my job to do it? No, it's nobody's job. It's the right thing to do. Um, uh, and and now you can see that there is an improvement in including women in roles in football as a result of a movement that started 8 9 years ago, and a lot of other sporting codes can also take a feather out of that cap and begin implementing it. I know rugby does it as well. So you've got to start somewhere, and I think that's a really good means of doing it. And then as well as leadership and mentoring positions, creating even programs, leadership and mentoring programs. So I, for instance, was part of the Super Sport Industry Leaders Program. I was given this opportunity, and a lot of my colleagues in the program, female colleagues, have since then become have elevated themselves into either higher positions in sports or have made moves into other sporting codes. And we've become like a sisterhood, and we all support and cheer each other on, which is actually great. And we need more actually of that, females supporting other females in sport.
No, great. Somebody said yesterday, and I think it was an Olympian, she said that the, the IOC is doing very well with female representation, both on board level. I think it's 40%, and 52% of all the workforce in Paris Olympics 2024 were women. And she said the only reason why it's happening is because FIFA has realized that it should send the escalator back down so that each one can uplift the other. And then somebody else said that because SASCOC has legislated in their statutes, in the policy, that they would have 50% representation, it is now a reality. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened, if it was not legislated. And one then questions, why do we need to legislate every time if we want to talk about fair and equal women representation? Your views?
Well, transformation is very important. It's if you want to level the playing field, what better opportunity to do that? I mean, I know the country is still very 50-50 on, for instance, players of color and quota systems when it was introduced in the 90s. I'm being myself was labeled a quota player for provincial hockey. It was a horrible thing to be labeled as such. However, it's very needed. And why should color be any different from gender when we are doing these transforming sport? It can't just be on the color of your skin. It needs to be as well gender roles. Gender roles are very important. And the time is right and it's rife for that acknowledgement and for that change.
To happen. Yeah, thank you, Wafeekah, for your time once again. That was Wafeekah Begg-Jassiem, legal manager at the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport, or SAGE in short, and a recently appointed member of the Anti-Doping Tribunal of the International Paralympic Committee, IPC. Thank you for your time and insights, which is very much appreciated. That is where we would leave it for now. And thank you for watching SportX and What I Do in Sport on the TalkX TV channel. Thank you.